Hey speakers, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So go ahead and like and subscribe and let's get started. Hey my speaker fam, how's everyone doing? Hopefully everyone had an amazing evening, had an amazing Monday. It's kind of late. You'll probably be getting this video early in the morning. So good morning to everyone that is on the replay crew. Before we actually go ahead and get into what we have down here in our thumbnail, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. And please go ahead and turn on those notification bells so you'll be notified every time a video comes out. Now, of course, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, I decided to go ahead and kind of review CheMinistry's the little panel review they had for the couples here on today. Now, it premieres on Foxhole every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this was actually my first time actually watching it, but I really enjoyed it. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed it. So pretty much the show starts out with everyone is pretty much introducing themselves. Chanel, which is the actual host. Her name is Chanel Scott. She also has a book out that is called Relationship Matters. Also, they went ahead and moved forward in introducing all of the couples. So the first couple they introduced was Sasha and Kevin Harris, which have been married for right at 13 years. Next, it was Michael and Jillian with Jillian White that has been married 7 years. And both of them are actual actors. Also, we had Latisha and Marsau Scott, of course, of Love and Marriage Huntsville, that has been married right at 17 years. And then, of course, they also had a therapist that also joined the panel by the name of Jack Daniel. Now, all the couples were actually up there, and from my understanding, they kind of did like a panel prior to in their meetup. So Chanel as well as Jack had a lot of, background kind of information in reference to the couples because, of course, with their, initial meetup. So they go on to kind of start asking the questions of the panel. And Chanel first starts out by asking Michael, why did you get married? And so he stated that him and Chanel had met a long time ago. They had kind of dated and then they kind of lost touch. It was no bad blood. They kind of lost touch, but then they kind of reconnected, remained friends. And he said one day he was actually on a show. He was actually on a show or a part of a casting for a show, and he had gotten sick and he had taken some medicine and had had an allergic reaction. And he said he just knew he was finna die. He said, and in that moment, it dawned on him that it was one person that he lost the opportunity with, and he just, he couldn't bear that. So when I guess he got himself together, because of course he did not, pass, he, phoned her and told her, I can't live without you. He expressed that every day that he was without her, he missed her. And he said that she was pretty much his best friend. So Chanel went on to ask Jillian pretty much the same question, why did you get married? And she said pretty much it was similar to what Michael had stated, that she wasn't going to let him get away. She said now she did have some work to do because, of course, she had went through a horrible breakup with someone else and she had a lot of insecurities, but she knew she had to get herself together in order to be able to have a relationship with Michael, because she did not want to, mess that up. So she had to let her guard down. They also went on to Kevin, and he pretty much explained that him and Sasha had met through a mutual friend and they became like the best of friends. He knew she was the one when he started to realize that they pretty much thought the same. Everything that he would go to say, she was already in the, she would be saying the same thing at the same time. So pretty much they knew that they were meant to be together. And they pretty much, he said that they had a friendship prior to getting married. They did kind of get married all with, I think they met, got engaged and got married all within 1 year. But of course, they've been together right at 13 years, so clearly it worked for them. Sasha pretty much went and said that she just knew he was the one when he walked into that restaurant, 6'6", wearing a 16 and a half shoe. She said she just knew she just had to have him. She said they had a conversation. The conversation was really good. She said, and then one day she just felt as though, okay, he not my type. He wasn't aggressive enough. And she said pretty much she called it off. And not too far later, she decided that, okay, yeah, she really was into him because she wound up coming back. Jack, they asked Jack, pretty much what is the foundation and of a great relationship? And pretty much he said friendship is very, very important. Honesty, because of course, if there is no trust and there's trust issues, nothing can actually work. And also having faithfulness. He said that he feels that letting people know what you want up front is the best thing that could ever be. That's the best foundation for a relationship, is letting the other one know what their expectations are. They kind of went into speaking in reference to men and what men look for, because Michael had kind of stated that he had been with several women because of course he's an actor, he had his groupies or whatever. And Jack explained that men categorize women. He said pretty much they get labeled as freaks, friends, or forever. He said pretty much they know if they're going to keep her in the freak category because that's just somebody you call for a jump off. He said they have the friends, which they know that they can kind of go cry on their shoulders, tell their problems to. And then of course they have their forever, the one that they will go and take home to meet mama, the one that pretty much they know this is the actual one that they want to spend their life with. So pretty much men kind of categorize their women as to where are you going to fit in my life. So then they go on to ask Marsau. And Marsau pretty much stated that Tisha was his third girlfriend. He explained that he didn't have a whole lot of girlfriends. He was in a fraternity and he had things going on in college and he didn't have time. So pretty much Tisha was his third girlfriend. He said that he knew that she was the one because they were actually working together, and he said he couldn't stop staring at her. And he said he just one day told her, "You a real one. You're a real woman." And he said they kind of exchanged numbers. He said the very first date that they went on, that it was to Home Depot. He said he was kind of rebuilding a home, and he said that he took her to Home Depot. So their first date was at Home Depot. And he said pretty much she was like complimenting him, telling him how good he was going to do on a project. And he said, at that time, it kind of pretty much, confirmed for him that, of course, she was the one that he wanted to be with. And there you have it. Latisha, Chanel asked Latisha, what work did you have to do to prepare for marriage? And Latisha pretty much stated that she pretty much didn't do too much to prepare for marriage. She said when they met, she was in college. She was focused on herself and she had herself together. So she felt as though it wasn't nothing really she had to do, because I guess she felt as though, she was the whole entree, honey. She had her stuff together. And yeah. So then they asked Sasha the same thing. And she said, pretty much she watched her parents, and she said submissiveness to her and her husband, she knew what that looked like because of her parents and how they were. Um, she said that the difference between this marriage versus her first marriage was that she didn't know herself then, but whereas she feels as though she knows herself a lot better, and which is making her, a better wife just by knowing who she is as a person. So then Kevin went on to say pretty much what he did different in this marriage versus his last marriage. So I'm taking that both of them have been married previously. And he said that pretty much he got his credit together. He said he got his credit together, and he said he did become more patient. So then they went on, and Jack, the question was asked to Jack, is what do he feel, what type of work does he feel need to be had, for a marriage? And he said basically to know the model of a marriage, prepare for the wedding. I'm sorry, prepare for the marriage and not just the wedding. He said that a lot of women get engaged. First thing everyone wants to know is what a dress, when the date, and all of this, but no one takes the time out to actually prepare for the marriage itself. They're only preparing for the wedding, and that is so, so true. Then they go on to say, he goes on to say, understanding what you're getting yourself into. And to me, that is very important, because a lot of times, I speak for myself, you kind of go into it, you're excited, you feel that this person is the one, and you're just, over the top that they have asked you to, marry them, that you tend to maybe blindsided by some of the things that you don't care for. I don't care if it's, make sure you wipe the faucets off after you finish brushing your teeth, or things to that nature. I guess everything needs to be laid out on the table, because the worst thing to do is get blindsided, and here now you're married, and now you seeing all of these issues where you were blinded by all of that prior to, because now that you're in it, potentially if it's something that's really, really bothersome to you, and that person, they can easily tell you, well, when you met me, it was this or it was that. You see what I'm saying? And so that can be very, that could sabotage an actual marriage. So then they go on, and pretty much they ask, Michael the same question. What did he do to prepare for this marriage versus his first one? And he said pretty much he worked on himself. He said she was a better person than he was. He said that pretty much she had her stuff together. She, wasn't out and about. So pretty much he knew right then that he had to become a better person and be the man that that she needed. He said that a man can actually sabotage a marriage because of his own insecurities, and which is so true. A lot of men don't want to admit that they have insecurities, but yeah, a lot of them actually do. He said he grew up feeling that a good man pretty much meant that he kept his side chicks in line. He said, and he had to learn that, okay, that's not what's up. He said, as Black men, we kind of thrive off of people saying, what's up, player, and love a man, love a boy, and all of that. He said, and to me, I had to grow out of that mentality. I had to grow out of that mentality feeling as though, I can have a side chick as long as the side chick is over there in the corner and she just don't say nothing. He said he had to get out of that mentality, because he doesn't ever want to do anything that is going to damage his marriage. And I respect that to the fullest. And Marsau, you should have brought your friend up there, so maybe he could have got, took a little notes. Hopefully maybe he was in the crowd, or maybe he decided to watch. But anywho, Jillian also said that she had to realize, coming into her second marriage, that she couldn't bring her prior pain into this particular relationship. She said that she had to do a lot of soul searching and letting go of the trauma that she had been through, and realize that this man is not the old man. He's not the other man that hurt you. And a lot of times we tend to do that. We feel that keeping our guard up and protecting our heart and our feelings because someone else has hurt us, not knowing and realizing that you really can sabotage, what you have now, holding on to that prior pain. And it takes a lot to kind of, let your guard down, especially if you're someone that has been hurt more than once, because you feel like, okay, I did that before, and I winded up, hurt again. So that's totally understandable. And pretty much Jack kind of stepped in again, and he said that, how not to ruin a relationship. And pretty much they were asking this question for single women, how not to ruin a relationship. And he said, you know, first things first is people need to realize that it's work and you need to do the work. He said also you need to heal from any past trauma that may have caused you any hurt, pain or what have you. He said, and also be open. Tell that other person you're dealing with everything, whether it is, your childhood trauma, relationship trauma. Do you have issues with your parents? Be open and honest and be transparent, because you want that person to know who they're dealing with, who are they finna marry. And also they also went on to the bedroom and the intimacy side of it, which was really hilarious, y'all. So pretty much Chanel asked Jack, what is intimacy and what does it actually mean? And pretty much Jack explains that intimacy doesn't necessarily all the time mean sex. He said that it's anything that will bring the closeness to that other person that's considered to be intimacy. Anything that's going to bring you closer to the other person is what they consider to be intimacy. Now, y'all, we all seen clips of what took place between Marsau and Latisha. But when I tell you the lady, the lady Chanel got on Marsau, I don't know if she just don't like Marsau from maybe their past interaction, but baby, she was on him. When I tell you she was on him, so she said, Marsau, I'm gonna start out with you, because since you the one that says that sex is the most important thing in your marriage, and so I'm gonna sit up here and because I took notes. So if I get to rambling, I'm rambling because he was rambling. Okay. But anyhow, he said that people accept 20% will no, I'm sorry. He said that people will leave 80% for that 20%. And why would you want to leave 80% for that 20%? Is what he said. Now, don't that sound kind of familiar? Don't that sound like something his friend Martell had done said before on, if I ain't mistaken, with this same woman on another panel? But anyways, so he said that he feels that when you're in a relationship or marriage, sex is the one thing that you have to separate you from everyone else, because pretty much I guess you could talk to anybody else, you could do XYZ, but the sex is what actually, I guess, make the marriage, whereas you could talk to other people but you can't have sex with them because that's what you have a wife for. I'm assuming that's what he said. Y'all, if I'm rambling and it ain't making sense, it's because he didn't make sense. How about that? But anyways, he said that again, sex is one of the most important things in a marriage. He said that guys complain about wives not having sex. He said that if it's a problem and they're not getting it, he said they should outsource. And baby, when I tell you that whole panel kind of seemed like it went up in an uproar, yeah. The man, you're on a relationship panel with other married couples, a relationship therapist, as well as a lady that has written a relationship book. And it looks like maybe it was filmed live because they had a lot of people out there in the audience. And you had the audacity to sit up there and say, if you're not getting enough sex at home, you should outsource. At that point, they would have had to shut the whole program down. Because if I was Latisha, like, man, how he embarrasses her like it's nothing. Like this is normal. Like this is normal. So we've all heard you complain and say as if you're not getting, enough sex, and she got you on a schedule. So when you feel that you ain't getting enough, do you outsource? So maybe was that the reason you had those pictures in your phone? Mm. But yeah, honey, when I tell you the whole panel kind of was just like, what? So Kevin said, I'm not riding with you on that, Marsau. I'm sorry. I'm not riding with you on that. He said that sex is important, but it's not the most important thing in his marriage. And he understands that his wife, do be tired. Michael then goes on to say that his enjoyment is her enjoyment, and he feels that sex is for women. He said women go out their way, get hair done, nails done, and everything to appease their husband and their man. And he said that pretty much a man get thrilled, and it don't take much for a man. Whereas for a woman, he feels as though they deserve the most enjoyment out of having sex, and he likes to please his woman. He said that when he feels that when he takes care of her, then automatically his needs have been met. Is they cloning him? Can somebody tell me, is he gonna be cloned? Anywho, Sasha said that sometimes she's tired. She has kids, she has a career, and she said that once upon a time she wanted it all day, every day, side the highway, didn't matter. But she said that now that she tend to be tired. And she said, but he knows one thing, he could take it whenever he want to. Okay. Jillian also stated that, pretty much for her, sex is never enough for her. She said that Michael is a giver, and she said if he needs it, she giving it. So these other couples ain't having too many issues in that bedroom area. So then Tisha goes on and she says that she is very submissive, and being a woman to her man, she said that she does cater to him. So, and y'all, I kind of asked in the chat during the show, was it just me or did anybody else notice how they just seemed like the odd couple? Because everyone else seemed to be like so into each other. Everyone seemed to be so in love. And even for a minute, other than, Chanel kind of pointing out certain things of Marsau, which I felt like to me you were almost picking, they didn't really incorporate Tisha in a lot till the end. And when it was, I kind of felt as though it was kind of like cheap jabs. But if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube. But yeah, it just seems as though to me they were just like the odd couple on the panel. But anyways, she said that, Latisha, they asked Latisha about being submissive. She said she is submissive. She does cater. She believes in catering to her man. And Sasha immediately steps in. And I don't know, to me, this kind of seemed like a little shade. I don't know. Because from my understanding, these couples have spent time with each other, I'm assuming during taping and all of that, and during the initial meetup. So I don't know if things happened and transpired. And of course, people were there observing things. But it just seems as though to me it was kind of a lot of shade kind of thrown at them, yeah. So Sasha automatically states after Latisha that a man has to be deserving of the submissiveness, that they have to be deserving. And she said that for her man, he's very deserving because pretty much he does everything for her. So she definitely doesn't mind being submissive with him. And pretty much Jack goes on to say how important it is for a woman to be submissive, to a man. But he said that people stop reading the portion in the Bible where it also says that a man needs to be submissive to his wife. I said, amen. You didn't say a whole word. A word, can I get a amen? But yeah, he said that a man should be submissive as well and be worthy of a woman being submissive to him. So then they asked, Chanel kind of asked Latisha, and this is the part in the clips that everyone's seen. And she said, well, Latisha, during the interview, I heard you say that pretty much you got Marsau on a schedule. Shady, 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 how she, to me, made fun of that woman in her speech. But anyways, she said, oh, yeah, I have him on a schedule. She said, since the frequency, since their marriage, things have changed. And she said that Marto talk a good talk, but he don't get it all the time. And she said, yes, I have him on the schedule. They pretty much, she wakes him up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get it in, as well as she do have to put it on her calendar that she have to perform those special, those special skills, at least once a month. And Chanel was like, so that sounds like it's a chore. That's not something, it sounds more like a chore. And she asked Marsau, how do you feel about that? He said, I didn't even know nothing about this. And Latisha said, before the kids came along, that they were able to get it in. She said, but now she have kids and a career. She said, and pretty much I got to put you on a schedule, honey, because I'm going to fit you in. Hence why he may have that 20% over there. Now, you just heard him say that when he ain't getting it, he outsource. So, girl, you better kind of, don't let the words that he say go up over your head, honey. Anyways, they go on to the segment of differences. And pretty much, Sasha says that pretty much the differences that she had in her marriage was like the co-parenting with the other parent. She said that, with her and Kevin, she said that it was kind of stressful, in the beginning of their marriage, because she has a son and she wasn't, I guess, used to anyone else like really saying anything to her son, and being a disciplinarian. She was the one that was actually doing it. So she said that they actually had to, work through that. And she said she knew that she was wrong and she had to get herself in check when it came to that. And Michael said that pretty much they really haven't had no differences. He said that he can only remember like 3 or 4 arguments that him and Jillian has had in the 7 years they have been married. He said, and I can guarantee you the arguments didn't last 20 minutes and we were laughing at the end. When I tell you, can somebody please, he need to have a whole show. And I need every man to tune in. Okay. So yeah, he said that when she's unhappy, he's unhappy. So he said that no, they don't do that. And pretty much Jillian kind of followed up behind him and said, yeah, pretty much we don't have arguments like that. And if we do, again, we pretty much laugh it off and go on about our way. So then the question was asked to Jack as far as the principles of having a good marriage. He was saying, of course, having that good guidance model, of a marriage, also having principles, and of course being honest. And he said stories. Like during that argument, what stories are being told, like what things are being said during that argument, because a lot of times people tend to say things that they really been feeling but just ain't never said it, because I guess they ain't never been pushed or mad enough to say it. And he also stated that sometimes women, say for instance, if you were to tell Kevin to go take out the trash, but Kevin forgot to take out the trash, and you see him sitting down watching TV and doing all that, but he didn't take out the trash. Well, we can kind of think deep into it like he ignoring you or not respecting what you're saying, when all actuality, Kevin kind of got sidetracked because your son had to, he needed help with the homework or something, and so he kind of got sidetracked and forgot. But sometimes we kind of think, and we do. I had to say that is so true. And they also asked as far as egos. And Kevin said that he put his ego to the side all the time. He said even when she wrong, he still put his ego to the side because he said he believed in peace at all costs. So he say pretty much, yeah, I'm gonna put my pride to the side and just let her have it. Marsau said that, and y'all, every time they ask him something, he has one of those logical, what he feel is logical explanations. And he said that he thinks that he is a logical thinker, and pretty much he says that he don't want to hear anything unless it's speaking logics and facts. And he said a lot of times he can get Latisha to get on the same page with him. Pretty much in a nutshell, what he said is whatever he say goes, and he's always right. He tried to clean it up in the end and say that, you know, he want to do better, and he said he want to get it right. But in all actuality, you said what sound good at the time, but you had already had to messed up and said how you felt. Pretty much you always right. So now your ego ain't going to the side, it's staying in front and center. Anywho, Jack said that it's important to be on the same page with your mate. Sometimes we look, as I was saying before, look too deep into situations, and pretty much it doesn't be as big as what we, think it would be. And it was also asked as a question as, how is it pretty much having a marriage and you being famous and pretty much being a celebrity? And Jillian says that um their marriage is what it is. They don't live this Hollywood life. She said that although they are both actors and, well known, she said they don't live the Hollywood life. They live a very normal life. The question was asked to Latisha and Marsau. Tisha said that she gets a lot of heat. At least she was honest. She said she gets a lot of heat. She feels that it's them against the world a lot of times. She says she feels as though she's constantly having to defend her marriage. Marsau says that he doesn't listen to the naysayers and he ignored them. Now we all know that is a lie, because Latisha don't too much argue with people in the comments, but we definitely know that Marsau argues with people in the comments and has even been known to be disrespectful and talk about people's appearance and all of that. So you just sat on this public platform and told that bold-faced lie. Like, really? So now, to me, everything else you done said on here has been pure OD BS. If it did make sense, it don't no more, because yeah, you didn't kind of miss me with that one. Jack went on to say that people on the outside, you shouldn't let people on the outside have, feedback on your marriage. You should have boundaries. And having boundaries is important. He said that no one should have an opinion on your marriage, not to the point that it's actually affecting how you feel about that person. So then the question gets asked, and Chanel pretty much stated, before this is over, I have to ask you, Marsau, we're going to talk about the in-laws. And he said that 85% of what people seeing of Wanda, that is Wanda. He said that is Wanda in the flesh. And he, pretty much, he said that pretty much she's always been that way. He said, and yes, it has been times that he felt that he couldn't do that anymore because it was a bit much. And he feels that Tisha just lets her do it. And I have to agree. It is Latisha's a grown woman, and it seems as though you let your mom fight all your battles with your friends, with your husband. It just don't seem right. It makes you look weak as a woman, as a wife. It makes you look weak. And she always saying, because even here, Sasha said, Latisha, I love you. She said, but girl, I gotta tell you, you is wrong. She said, you is wrong. And how would you feel if his mom was treating you like that? You wouldn't like it. She said, you need to have a conversation with your mama and fix it. And she said, well, you know how she give that spiel. Well, I've tried, but at the end of the day, that's my mama. So I don't know what people expect for me to do. She don't come to the house as much. And you know that spiel that she give everybody when they tell her about Wanda. We even witnessed and heard Funky Dineva telling her how she needs to get a hold of Wanda. I mean, but here you have it. So they, you know, everyone agrees that a conversation need to be had. And Sasha say, your mama need a man. And Tisha must have said, well, she got a man. She said, well, she need to spend time with him. And y'all, that's pretty much the show kind of went on a little bit more after that. Y'all, for one, the show came on at 7 and we rolling into 8:30. And I'm like, nah. You know, I just got off work, hadn't started cooking, hadn't done none of that because I'm thinking, of course, about 30 minutes to an hour. But this is rolling on to an hour and a half. And I'm like, it's no way I'm going to sit here for 2 hours and watch this show. I don't watch Love and Marriage Huntsville for 2 hours. So, honey, I let it go from there, but I was still listening. I just wasn't taking too much notes, which they really wasn't talking about too much. After that, they kind of was wrapping it up anyways. But pretty much, y'all, that was it. I watched the show. It was a good show. Would I watch it again? I don't know. Kind of depending on who the couples would be. But overall, I just mainly just wanted to hear what Marsau and Latisha had to say. And child, just like I knew it would, he made her look crazy. Even with the crazy, which she said, he still managed to make her look crazy because he took me out with that outsource thing. But yeah, that was to be expected. But anywho, y'all, that was it. That was all. Comment below if you got an opportunity to watch the show. How did you feel? Did you enjoy the show? Is this the show that you normally watch? How did you feel about all the couples? Do y'all feel that Michael needs to be cloned around here? And also let me know, how did you feel about Latisha and Marsau and how they interacted? Like I said, to me, I feel like they were the odd couple on the panel because it kind of seemed as though in the beginning or throughout the even show, it just seemed like they kind of left Latisha out of it. They kind of included Marsau more than Latisha. And I'm wondering why, you know, because some of the questions that the other ladies were asked, they didn't really ask Latisha. So that was kind of odd. But anywho, that was it. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Y'all, by liking the video, it helps myself as well as other content creators stay out here in the algorithm. That way we can get viewed and be in these YouTube streets. So again, y'all, thank y'all again. And y'all have a good night. Love you.